should drivers pay more tax on petrol and diesel? 0207 862 2222 is the number. A petition opposing a rise in fuel duty signed by more than 130,000 motorists has been delivered to Downing Street by Tory MPs ahead of next week's budget. Chancellor Rachel Reeves could reportedly hike fuel duty by as much as 7 pence per litre. Filling up a car would then cost about £4 extra as a result, meaning the average driver would spend £175 more a year. The move, which would end more than a decade of Tory rate freezes and reverse a 2022 cut, could raise £4 billion. So what do you think?
Yes, is the short answer to that
question.
Do it. And I know that the figures immediately sound to your ear terrifying. But actually, what we're talking about here, Jeremy, is a figure that's remained the same since 2022. And from 2022 to 2011 had remained the same. So what she would be doing was essentially bringing us back to 2022 if we saw an increase of approximately 5 pence. And, you know, what does that look like actually in terms of money out of our pocket? Probably about £4 every time we go to the petrol pumps. Now, I appreciate that for some that's going to be shocking. And by some, I mean, for example, those who are disabled, those who rely on their own transport because public transport just simply isn't viable for them. But I would hope that Rachel Reeves is going to take into account those vulnerable people when she looks at her budget. And my goodness, how she's been able to get any sleep since they got into power, I don't know.
Well, this budget is becoming, you know, there's so many things attached to it now. I guess they're putting a lot of stuff out there to try and make everyone feel relieved after it. Yeah. But let's talk about this fuel duty.
It's twaddle.
Twaddle?
It's absolute twaddle. How many times over the course of the last couple of years, when inflation has been coming down and it hasn't come down quite so much, or it's nipped up a little bit, you hear the price of fuel is responsible for inflation going up a little bit. So we've got a government who wants to look after the economy, wants to grow the economy, wants to fight inflation, which incidentally the Conservatives seem to have done with the Bank of England quite well. So they're going to put up something that increases inflation. So, for example, if you're a plumber and you've got to travel 30 miles to work for your client and you're going to pay another few pounds, you're passing that on as a business to your client. So prices go up. Inflation, that's the major risk for me. The other thing is, Jeremy, fix the roads, fix the potholes, get the traffic moving, and then you can have more tax.
But maybe they need the money to fix the potholes.
Well, no, that's nonsense. They've had money because that's what road fund tax licence is. That's what electric vehicles are going to be paying. Because
the funny thing is, they said, OK, if you drive an electric, you don't pay any road tax. Yeah. This has now gone wrong because lots of people have got electrics as a result. So they're now going to have to pay.
I mean, they're going to have to, aren't they? There is a reality here. It was an incentive, wasn't it, before to go from your petrol, your diesel car to electric. However, there is still a cost impact on the road system. And it is our local authorities, Russ, who you know are struggling and have been struggling in terms of being able to do the very basics in terms of road maintenance. But what does that actually mean in terms of raising money for the government? We know that there is this 22 billion black hole that needs to be filled. Well, you say so they say. It's there and it needs to be filled. And it is a very simple way for that hole to start to be refilled.
I could give you a really simple way of reducing it. Stop foreign aid.
OK, well,
that's 11.6 billion.
We can definitely have a discussion about why we need foreign aid. For example, unless you want to see more migration, what surely you want to do is to ensure that people are able to stay safely within their own country.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
So we need foreign aid.
I also want people not to pay through the nose, to drive around, go about their business, go to the supermarket, go into work, on roads that are not fit for purpose.
All right, let's bring in Sandra in Birmingham. What do you think, Sandra? This could be a big tax rise for drivers.
Yes, it could, and everything will go up. Once they put money on the tax on the petrol, everything will go up.
What? So even like a care worker who visits somebody, he's driving around, they have to charge more.
Inflation will go back up, and they were very crafty that they didn't have the budget 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, because that's when they decided to pay out on the benefits. So where benefits was at 1.4% of inflation.
Okay.
After the budget, it will go sky high, and people are still having to pay out, but they haven't got the money to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the trouble they've got into is that they've given a lot of money to railway train drivers, and then they've said they've got no money. So I don't quite get that.
Jeremy, they haven't given money to train drivers. What they've done is they've offered them a fair wage, a wage that they have determined is fair. And I think the language around that is what is actually quite divisive as a nation. If we thought that by paying £4 extra on our fuel, that we were going to be ensuring that libraries stayed open, that we were going to be ensuring that the winter fuel tax allowance, actually that cut-off line could be increased so that those who weren't on pension credit but fell in that grey area could actually then claim for that the winter fuel tax allowance, you would pay that extra £4. I would. Well,
let's see, because in credit to the government, they don't mind taking on powerful lobby groups because they've already made the pensioners furious, which may have been accidental. They're now going to annoy the drivers. So they're facing the fire here.
Well, they are facing the fire, but like any government, they're going to be judged, aren't they, on results. That's all that counts with the electorate. If you don't get results, off you go. I mean, it's as simple as that. And there are many aspects of what they're trying to do that I think you've got to give them a chance on. But really putting up petrol and diesel and adding another expense to drivers, I mean, car insurance. How much has your car insurance gone up? Why?
Well, there's 1 million uninsured drivers.
Well, yes.
You have to pay for them as well, apparently.
Exactly.
That's part of the reason. Thank you, Sandra. Cliff in South Yorkshire, hello.
Good morning.
Are you prepared to see petrol, diesel go up?
No, definitely not.
Are you a driver, Cliff?
Yes, I am.
And tell me about your driving routine. Do you drive for work or pleasure?
No, I'm retired, so it's short journeys most of the time.
So if you're, forgive me using this word, pootling, it doesn't matter, does it? It's not going to cost too much.
Of course it matters. When you look at how much you do over a year, it builds up.
What do you think you do, 10,000 miles a year?
No, I wouldn't. But in these days, every penny counts.
Yeah.
And I think the motorist pays enough as it is. How much do we actually pay percentage-wise on a litre of petrol?
Well, you raise a good point. I haven't filled a car for a while. Actually, do you know what? I filled my car recently, and I was shocked.
Well,
it was 60 quid or something. It was
much less than it was.
Well, I've tried to avoid it.
What about if they go pay per mile?
It's the £100 tank, isn't it, Cliff, that we headed to at some point?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, can I ask another question?
Anything.
But just over 18 months ago, we were up to nearly £2 a litre on diesel. Now, how much of that extra did they make in VAT and subsidies?
Yeah, they had a windfall.
For it?
They had a windfall on that, didn't they, Paula? That's true. That's suspicious.
I mean, we're being told that the government pulls in approximately 57 pence, just over 57 pence, from every time you fill up your tank. But, Cliff, surely what's more important to you is to know that that money is going to be spent and put back into society. Those of us who rely on social care, those of us who rely on, as I said, the library staying open. What we also need to see, don't we, Cliff, is people getting out of their cars and back into public transport, particularly across the nation, where if you live in the countryside, if you're not in a big city, frankly, public transport is abysmal.
Go on, Cliff.
Yeah, it is. But you come around South Yorkshire, and some of these roads around here now are like bomb tracks.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's dangerous work at times, taking your car out.
Well, it's funny.
That money that we're paying is not coming back to us.
I hear you. So your argument is I'm not paying for that, and the government says if you pay us more, we'll sort it.
Yeah, well, this sounds like something else where somebody else at the moment is saying we need more to rectify what we've messed up in the past.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like the water companies.
Thank you, Cliff, very much indeed. Later, it's the papers and everything else. Find out